Got my corner all cut and trimmed for folding. A nice set of hand seamers for making your folds. Take a second to make sure they're lined up correctly on your marks. Gonna overbend that first one a little bit, just to leave you room to get in correctly on your second bend. Your second bend done, I like to grab the corner with my snips, or excuse me, my hand seamers, and I like to make sure that the corner is square. You want to make sure that you're a nice square angle before you go to the next step. If the corner is not square before you drill this hole, after you rivet, it's not gonna stay square. It's gonna either stay open or stay a little bit too closed, and it's just gonna make the bottom of your corner look funny. Quick little mock-up so that you can understand how to square up your corner. This is just one method, but if you put it on a hard outside corner and you use a square to ensure that you're actually 90 degrees, make a pencil mark. Then you can measure off your outside corner. And we're 2 15/16 on this one. So that's gonna be a guide when we actually go to set this on the outside corner, on the wall of the house. With the corner folded and riveted at the bottom, cut the length, it's time to install the corner. Now, there's multiple different ways that you can keep your corner plumb and square. If you have a good eye, it's very easy to quite literally use the framing as a guide and keep the corner square and nail it off. If you don't have a good eye or you're just getting started, one of the surefire ways to have a clean install is to snap a line. And the first step in that is to understand how to square the corner. Once you know that the corner is square, you measure the distance off of this nailing fin to the outside edge of the nailing fin, and then we snap a line vertically on the corner. So in this case, we're going to say that's very close to 3 inches. Quite literally, come in, going to make a mark 3 inches, go up, make a mark, and snap a line. Pull your chalk line down, make sure you're on your 3-inch mark, snap a line. The edge of your nailing fin is going to line up with that. If you find once you start installing that your line is not quite correct, that either the corner is flattening too much or squishing in too much, you can still use this as a reference line. So maybe you won't be able to follow it exactly, but you're going to be able to use it as a guideline. As you can see, we don't have the soffit installed yet, but I want to get this corner on so we can start siding. Got my line snapped. This is a quick, easy way that you can get the elevation of your corner set correctly to allow that soffit to slide by. I've got 2 marks on the wall, roughly 5/8 apart. Bring my corner up on the line, because that's where I'm going to nail it. I make a mark on the top mark, drop it so it lines up with the bottom mark. That gives me that gap up top that I need for the soffit. Keeping the corner on your snap line, lay a nail right up in the top of the nailing slot. This is one of the few times that you're actually going to install a nail at the top of the slot. Now, same as anything else, you want to leave a little bit of room, but you're going to hang the corner. Hang the corner running down that line. See, we've got that gap. Every 8 to 12 inches, you want a nail. nails from this point on, you want to be in the middle of the nailing slot. Again, don't drive them home. You want room for expansion and contraction. There's literally 100 different ways to install a corner. I've tried several different methods over the years. Sometimes I have measured over top and bottom, snapped a line through. I've measured over and plumbed a line. In the past, I've even gone so far as to install the corner and then try and plumb it in place. Doesn't work very well. What I find works really well now is install the corner, and especially in a situation like this where you have a flashing close by or some type of other horizontal lines, is make sure your parallel lines or your parallel surfaces line up. So even if it's not square or plumb, it gives the illusion of square or plumb. And especially when I have my soffit already installed, that doesn't always happen, but when I do, I use it to my advantage. By the time I get up there, I want these two surfaces to line up with the holes or the vent in my soffit. So as you can see, top of the corner here doesn't line up perfectly with the vent holes in the soffit. So if we squeeze this up, so that this surface follows this set of vent holes and this surface follows that set of vent holes, it gives everything the illusion of square and the illusion of plumb. Even if it's not, the human eye is not going to pick up on it. Whenever possible, I like to start my siding all bottom up. And what I mean by that is I want to start on the ground with all of my siding. I don't want to set up staging or ladders for soffit. I don't want to set up a ladder or staging to set a corner. I want to be able to work it all off the ground, bring everything up at once. So a little trick for leaving enough room to have your soffit slide over top of your outside corner is, I'll make a mark, and I'll make another mark 5/8 down, because I know my soffit is a 1/2 inch. 5/8 leaves a little bit of room for expansion and contraction. Line that mark up on my corner with it hard up into my framing, bring it down 5/8. I can start installing this corner nice and square, and I know I've got enough room up above that my soffit will float over top, and I won't have to worry about trimming this corner once I get up there. If you're starting out doing siding, snapping a line for your corner is a really great way to reference a plumb line, and it does work very well. I, however, don't like to use this for a couple reasons. One, if you have details like this, the bottom of your wall tends to flare out because you've got these additional layers. So in order to follow the line, you end up with a splayed corner. So what I like to do, and this takes a little while and takes some practice, but I like to ensure that the bottom of my corner is square and parallel. So I want it to be parallel to this edge and parallel to that edge. Even if it's not perfectly square, it's going to appear square. Then I want to sight it for plumb. And as I nail it up, I want to keep it square, and I want to line it up with my soffit above. If your soffit's installed, it's imperative that the vent holes run parallel in both directions. Even if it's not square, it gives it the appearance of square.